Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where we're talking about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Supernatural, a fantastic episode. I am still giddy from watching this. You have no idea. Like, if you could see it, I have a smile on my face. I literally saw stuff today online about this. Like, I saw something like pop up on IGN about this. I didn't watch it. I was like, oh, this is like a cute little crossover thing they're doing. I didn't think it mean anything. Like, I thought it was just kind of like a little one-off thing. Oh, that's weird. That's so quirky. And it turns out not only is it a real thing, it's actually supernatural canon now. It's like, what? That's so great. Because I was so curious to see how they handled that. Because I was like, well, Scooby-Doo's kind of kid-friendly, so how did they do it? And they did a perfect job of keeping the essence of Scooby-Doo and mixing in that supernatural feel. They ended up referencing this episode, but it's kind of like the same thing as like when they got put in all those commercials by Gabriel. It's right up there. This might be hands down one of my favorite episodes. I love episodes that are really out there, but also because it's just the nature of this. For one, it's animated with live action bits, but also just kind of like the fact this is a crossover I never would have thought. But I mean, the CW kind of falls under the Cole Warner Brothers thing, doesn't it? Like, CW falls under that, in which I know Scooby-Doo falls under Warner Brothers as well. So, I mean, it makes sense while it can happen. But the fact is that it did happen is amazing. Obviously, running down everything in this episode. For one, the fact is that Dean kept hitting on Daphne so hard. He's just like, God, I hate Fred. He sucks. He's just kind of so handsome and got his stupid freaking ass. I don't think he's so cool. It's like, because even Sam's like, why do you hate Fred so much? But he's like, oh, like a lady like Daphne, she deserves better than Fred. I'm like, wow, that hate for Fred runs deep. He's like, yeah, it's Scooby Gang. Fuck Fred. It's basically his mentality. That was so good. Because I was wondering how they were going to handle, like I said, like the whole aspect of like just the nature of the show. And it's like, oh yeah, when it came to the bodies and stuff like that, one dude got literally stabbed. I was like, how are they going to handle that? And it's like, oh, there's literally a dead body with blood pouring out of it. And they're like, and Fred's like, oh, we got a mystery on our hands. And you have Sam being like, really, Fred? Don't be a douchebag. There's literally a dead body here. Have some respect. Yeah, that other dude ripped to pieces. Sam and Dean are the only ones kind of being thrown up about it. And you have Fred and the mystery team just being like, oh, who cares? It's no big deal. Let's look for clues. It's like, really? You're literally looking at a dismembered body and you're not saying anything. Because I guess in their world, they're seeing what they want to see. So in their mind, it's like, it's most likely fake or whatever. Because obviously that's how things work in this world. Because I was wondering, it's like, were there blinders on when it came to this whole situation? I was like, that's so interesting. I mean, because the fact of the matter is, they kind of bring it up a little. Well, the fact of the matter is, they have faced supernatural stuff within the Scooby-Doo canon. To be fair, it depends on where. It seems like this at least takes place pretty late in their career, so it's also interesting too because it's like. Because I thought it was kind of interesting because it is taking a more modern take on Scooby-Doo, like especially like the animation style and everything. But it does kind of have an older Scooby-Doo feel to it. It's in the sense of like Daphne being like, oh no, Sam, Dean, we can't be in the same room. Boys and girls can't sleep in the same room. Let's not forget Scooby-Doo's like super old. It's from like the 70s. So it seems like it's kind of like playing into that aspect. But that's probably something that also came up in the shows too. Like even the more modern ones like Mystery Incorporated. I don't know if that was ever a situation like that came up. I don't think it did. They probably went out of their way to kind of avoid a conversation like that. But I think I like that they played into it like that. And that was so neat. You had Vilma hitting on Sam so freaking hard. Because it's just like, oh my God, those broad shoulders. And she's like, oh, those shoulders. He's like, why do you keep talking about my shoulders? And it's like, oh, that big lug. And Daphne's like, oh, I thought big lugs were kind of your thing. And then Vilma's blushing. It's like, what? That's so cute. It would have been funny if they played with it a little bit. Like, it's not something that comes up in a lot of Scooby-Doo canon. There's at least two things, like one of the live action movies on the two live action cartoons on Cartoon Network, the movie on Cartoon Network. Sorry, I'm stumbling. And Mystery Incorporated are the only ones that ever made it so that Shaggy and Vilma ever dated. And it would have been interesting if they played with that a little bit. But obviously, it's like the Fred and Daphne. But Daphne only has eyes for Fred, and just like, oh, someone who's strong, courageous. Oh, and wears an ascot. Also interesting to see Fred kind of charging headfirst into danger in this. It's just not realizing how much of a dick Dean's being to him. It's like, oh man, oh yeah, come with the three of us. Yeah, it's super good. But hands down, probably one of my favorite parts is the existential crisis part of the episode when like, everyone has a nervous breakdown. Shaggy gets his arm broken. He's like, what? That never happens. And it's just kind of like, holy crap, that's a real ghost. And you have Fred tripping out because he's like, we could have been stopping real monsters like Dracula. And then like for Vilma being the very science and rational person, it just kind of breaks her. You have Daphne be like, oh, that means heaven and hell exist. Does that mean I'm going to hell? It's like, we're really having these conversations. You even have Shaggy being like, you idiot. Me and Scooby have been telling you forever and ever that monsters were real and stuff. I'm like, it's like, oh my God, Sam and Dean broke the Scooby Gang. I was like, that's so good. Also, Dean enjoying the sandwich, like him like doing the big mouth stacked sandwich thing like Shaggy and Scooby are. I've never saw Sam do it, so you never actually see anyone else in that universe do that except for Shaggy and Scooby. But I guess it is just kind of like, well, that's part of their characters. But I guess like anyone in that universe could do it. But I think it's just because it is such a Shaggy and Scooby thing that no one else would. I mean, it's a cartoon, so you're thinking about it too much. But it's so good. I just was not expecting that. Also, when they're like, okay, how do we fight this thing? It's like, don't worry, go to the trunk of the car and see all those weapons. Fred's trapping everything, and you have Simba like, see, I told you that wasn't going to work. Also, where did he get those coconuts from? Cartoons, you don't ask. But it's like, no, yeah, he's like, yeah, Fred's traps never work. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, right, it's been a while since I've watched like a lot of Scooby-Doo, and I was like, right, his traps never do work. There are very rare occasions where it's kind of like, oh wow, that actually worked. It even catches Fred off guard sometimes, like, yeah, that normally doesn't work. But nevertheless, even had Cass hanging out with them too. I was like, yes! It's kind of sad we'll never get to experience what Cass did, because basically he was like, yeah, he came across some gins so that he could get some of the items he needed for what they're trying to do. And he ended up saying, like, I had to kill some of them, make a deal with others. He's like, I might even potentially be married to the queen of the jinns. That's kind of a whole story in itself, which I hope that they didn't just nod that off. I hope that is something we see come up later on, like, Cass, we're married. You didn't, like, I don't know. It's one of those things. Supernatural can sneak up on you with stuff like that. But, oh my God, that was so good. It's actually kind of sad, though, what ultimately ended up happening. It turns out what happened to them is, in fact, a boy who was a ghost, because he was being used by Jay, the dude at the beginning. Basically, this is some like real estate scam thing. It's like he's using this boy to possess objects and scare people so he can buy up all their properties for cheap. And it's just, but obviously to make everything right, to kind of fix the Scooby Gang, which I'm so curious. What would have happened if they left the Scooby Gang like that? Would that mean all the TV shit? Because it's one of those things. It's one of those fourth wall breaking things when you kind of think about it too much. Like, what happens during cartoons when it's like, oh, there's a commercial break? Do the cartoons inside of it stop? Like, the only thing I've ever seen that really references that is Family Guy. It's like, oh yeah, like Ed, oh, we did a cutaway so everyone kind of do whatever you want to. People are texting and stuff like that. You know, Peter might be, smoking or something like that. So I always, like, that's always been a question in the back of my mind as well as a lot of people's minds, sure. So it makes you wonder, like, would that mean the episodes from now is like, wow, Scooby-Doo got super dark. We have like the Mystery Gang actually becoming, I thought that was going to be the setup too. We had the Mystery Gang becoming, hunters now or something like that. That would have been sick. But no, it turns out it's like, no. Let's fix Scooby-Doo. So that was kind of interesting. Because I guess at the same time, it's like we're introducing it in this world, but we're making so that it doesn't break Scooby-Doo canon. It's like, okay, and now the Scooby Gang can go back to their own world. It's only because of us and a ghost being here that things kind of became what they are. But I love that line where, like, Sam is like, yeah, you were 100% right, Vilma. And she's like, see, I told you, there's no such thing as the supernatural. And you have Cass stopping and looking to the camera and saying, huh? I'm like, that's what I love. That's what I want. And I love it. And also Vilma making the move on Sam and kissing him like that. She's like, oh, those shoulders. And even Dean was like, man, I should have known. I should have known that Vilma was ready. He's like, I should have known. It's always the quiet ones. And then Cass was happy about Shaggy and Scooby because he's like, oh yeah, like you guys taught me how to laugh in the face of danger. I'm like, this, like I said, I love it when they do episodes like this. Probably my other favorite episode is when they went out into the real world, or like in the show Supernatural and stuff like that. It's hard, like those are hands down probably three of my favorite episodes because they're such out there episodes. Like obviously there's episodes within just the canon and without being really weird and out there. I mean, obviously the show's just really weird and out there in the last cases, but it's probably like like there are storyline elements that I'm just like, oh, obviously that's like a really, I mean, it's like I said, it's still hard to say because these type of things, even though they're kind of really out there, they're still part of the Supernatural canon, and I love it so much. It's like, oh, we will probably never get another thing like this, which will probably make this stand out that much more. I mean, to be fair, I mean, it's something I'd completely forgotten about, but I was looking up Supernatural stuff recently and I came across it again. It's like, right, Supernatural was actually turned into like wasn't it like a 22 episode anime? It was like a few episodes. I don't remember if it was necessarily 22. It could have just been like 12 or something like that. I feel like it was on a longer end. It was only like one season long, but like Supernatural exists as an anime, so it's not like completely out there. But to be fair, it was like a retelling of season 1, but in the form of an anime. I thought that was kind of interesting. So it's kind of playing it in that same vein, and it's just like also that they ended up solving the case, and it was just kind of like they brought a little bit of Supernatural to Scooby-Doo, and Scooby-Doo brought a little bit of Scooby-Doo to Supernatural in a sense of like, okay, how they ended up solving it. It's like, huh, Vilma was right. There's literally always just some like dude behind everything. And you have Dean wearing the ascot, which is like, sorry, Dean, you can't pull off the ascot. Leave it to Fred. And then you have the guy be like, it wouldn't happen if it wasn't for you meddling kids. And Dean's like, oh my God, he said it. He said it. He said the thing. And then he's like, Scooby-Dooby-Doo. And it zooms in on him. He's just kind of smiling and going, ha ha. And you have Cass being like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, that's the thing when Scooby does anytime they finish it. It's like, yeah, but that's a talking dog. You're not a talking dog, Dean. He's like, yeah, I know. Okay, guys. And it's just like, oh, it's so good. I love it. I love it so much, man. I'm still smiling just because of how awesome this is. It's such like a beautifully contained story that obviously it's still like, if, obviously plays a little bit by being like, okay, we're actually furthering the story a little bit while we're also doing all this stuff too. So I just thought that was so good. It's like I said, it still makes you wonder, like, when it's all said and done. I mean, no police actually got involved in this case, so that's where it's kind of like, I mean, I think that's also part of it, too, because they're poking fun at, like, a lot of the stuff that, like I said, the bodies and stuff like that. Stuff that normally would probably pop up during a case, but because it's such a kid-friendly show, that stuff like that never gets crossed, but until Supernatural blends with it, so... like I said, I just appreciate the fact that they didn't hold back. But there was a moment where it's like, Dean was basically saying the word fuck, I think, and he bleeped it out. It's just like, oh, that's so good. And I would have been funny if Fred had reacted like, whoa, what are you doing, buddy? Don't. It's like, no, but it was just kind of like, Fred didn't react to it or whatever, so. I also love Sam pointing stuff out too, because it's like, oh yeah, what was there was a line at the beginning, it's like, oh yeah, but this guy is dead, and Fred was like, yeah. It was cancer. I'm like, oh my God. That was like my first oh my God moment of the episode. I was like, oh my God, they talk about this guy died of cancer. Ain't nothing like that ever came out. It's like, oh yeah, this dude died, but it's never been like, oh yeah, something heavy like cancer. I was like, shit, that's some real stuff you bring it up in a Scooby-Doo cartoon, even though it's Supernatural. And even Sam being like, do you look at this newspaper? You can't read a damn word on it. It's just like, shut up and just go with it, which is kind of Dean's whole thing. He's like, I literally know this episode back and forward. It's like, why don't we just go ahead and tell them what's behind that, the dude's behind it. It's like, no. We're going to keep the innocence and purity of this show intact. And we're just going to, it's just like that thing with the TV shows and commercials. Like, just roll with it. Then we kind of get out of here. So, oh, it's so good. Also, it turns out the Mystery Machine is pretty damn fast, kind of winning at a race, and even Dean being super hurt about it. It's like, no. Obviously, Fred cheated. It's like, let it go. It's like, nah, I can't. Also, too, really quickly, man, Vilma is super judgmental in this show, because she kept calling them, like, scaredy, like, she kept calling Sam scaredy cat, while also commenting, look at them shoulders. You're so, tall and shoulders. Like, what the hell is up with you and shoulders? But she kept saying, like, oh, you're such a, it's like, I feel like even in the normal cartoons, she doesn't like ever berate Shaggy and Scooby for being the quote unquote cowards they are. And I love that Cass ends up this is like a completely even split, because usually it's like Fred and Daphne kind of go off on their own, sometimes with Vilma, and sometimes it's like Vilma, Shaggy, and Scooby, but a lot of times it's just Scooby and Shaggy. But I do love that it's an even split. Fred, Daphne, Dean, and then Sam. Well, Sam and Vilma kind of off on their own, but then like you have Cass with the Scaredy crew, and I just thought that was kind of pretty neat. I'm surprised that didn't actually come up in the, well, I was about to say something. It's like, never mind. I'll let that go. I was about to say something, but it's not important. So, but like I said, not just a great episode, a fantastic episode. This is so good, so much fun. that it's just like, oh, obviously sooner or later depressing storylines are going to come back and just gotta sink you back into the depression that is some of the story in Supernatural. But for now, it's just like you got to kick back and have, I mean, it's kind of a sad, fun time, even though there's still death happening in it, but it was such a good time. Like, I would hope they could do something like this again, but it is probably just like a one-off thing. But I appreciate that this exists. It's so good. I probably I want to look it up more like afterwards about how this happened. It's like, that just seems, because like nothing like this has been done before in the 13 years that Supernatural has been on air. This is the first of its kind, and I love it. Like I said, with the exception of it becoming an anime and stuff like that, but still, it's so awesome. But nevertheless, I am super excited to see what goes down in the next episode. Obviously, it won't be nearly as hype as this episode was, but still, I'm looking forward to see where the next episode takes us with all of this. Well, not all of this, just the main overarching plot about trying to get the spell from the demon tablet, gathering up the ingredients. So, also, final note too, I thought was kind of an interesting thing. There were two people that never popped up for the rest of the episode. I guess they were just killed off screen. There was like that lady and another person that was supposed to be staying there, but I guess maybe they bailed out at some point in time. It just never came up in the episode. It's just kind of something interesting I kind of want to tackle on at the end there. So, I don't know. It's just kind of something interesting. I was like, oh yeah, we only saw like 2 people die. There's at least like 3 or 4 people that were involved. Even like 4 people, not including the lawyer, wasn't it? But it was only like, well, nevertheless, either way. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good